Kia ora, kia ora. Welcome back.
We're so back.
I know. How was your catching fireflies moment?
Oh, my meditation moment just before you hit record. It was me and you running up on this big hill, catching fireflies together, cracking up, ecstatic, not to catch the fireflies, but to be together again.
Mm,
Like it was
mm,
this snappy electricity of hanging out together, which I was just like,
mm-hmm,
and it made me crack up like we were laughing. That was my
mm-hmm.
moment, this laughter. And then you like came out of your meditation laughing, so it was just like perfect. How about
Nailed
how
it.
about how about you?
I too had a very tender reunion moment where like you and me were together. But we were inside like a honeybee,
Oh,
like an
mhm.
igloo, like a yurt, like a sweat lodge, like a round hive of warmth.
Oh, that's nice.
And it was you and me going,
Yeah. Oh my gosh, how did we do that? How did that happen?
mm, yeah, that's
Oh
good.
my gosh, it is so good to be here with you, Rudo.
Here,
And
here.
yeah, I've just been waiting for this moment to happen again. We've had some interesting, different episodes, as our listeners know. Ruda's popped on with her mom. I popped on with my youngest M, and had some beautiful moments together, and it was really fun. But I'm really glad that we made it work today. Like we almost didn't have
Mm.
it today, but we somehow found the moments, and we're just making it happen.
Needs must. Where there's a will, there's a way.
Absolutely. And yeah, I've just been feeling into the space of this podcast. And what the listener is getting today is what it is for us, which is the actual enjoyment of the moments as we take the steps forward, as we walk towards that horizon, that ever
Mm.
moving, beautiful horizon. I
Mm.
talked to somebody this morning, and I told them, they asked me what the podcast was about. And I was able to say, it's about just doing it, being together, making it happen, enjoying that journey. That lesson that I had heard so many times before, but had probably walked away from early in my life, not realizing that was actually the path. And what this
Mm.
person does, Francie, she she does art with kids, and it's about
Mm.
it. She calls it. I think she calls it process art, and
Bless
it's
you,
like
Francie.
so. It's
Oh my
just
God, bless you. Oh, this is the Lord's work.
this is it. And I said, oh my gosh, that is like that's what these kids need to know about. They need to understand the
100%.
enjoyment of the process and really being in it. And
Yep, 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 yep.
yeah, it's. I feel slightly funny for
And we are
having
all of
yeah.
those kids.
I
All of
totally,
us are those children.
totally every one of
Our
those.
inner children need
Hmm.
um non uh agended activity.
And
Play.
yeah, tell me something, Rudo. Tell me something. What do you got?
Tell me something good.
Oh yeah.
Oh, so something good, something good. I mean, this moment,
Mm,
obviously. New tech for the Rudo. I've been subsisting on a really, really old laptop that couldn't even really be touched because all the equipment would just lose its marbles anytime I would.
press a key.
Um, yeah. And then the last episode that I recorded with my mom, I was just like, you know what? I'm just gonna have to record off my laptop speakers. But bless Overlord's Squadcast situation because
It's fine. I
they,
had no idea. Yeah.
yeah, I mean, not even the Viking had a sound issue. And he was like, oh, yeah, I listened to it. And I was like, and you had no issues? And he's like, no, why would I? I was like,
Cool.
no reason.
I was just using the laptop microphone speaker as a microphone. No.
This is like the biggest sound diva known to mankind. So, like, the AI Overlord feature in Squadcast just like fixed our sound for us
Amazing.
big time. I still, obviously love speaking into a microphone. So yeah, got my new tech, my microphone plugged in, feeling good. You might be able to see like a little bit more detail because the
Camera's amazing.
webcam is a bit fancier.
Goodness me. Oh.
So yeah, good to have equipment. I'm gonna treat it really well,
Mhm.
and I'm not gonna drop it in a bathtub full of water like I did my last laptop.
Noting why it might
I
not
wasn't in
work.
the
Okay, yes,
bathtub, so
very good.
that's I'm not dead.
Oh my goodness. Yes.
Long story. The end. What about you?
Was that the end of your last laptop? Was the bathtub? No. Okay,
No,
that
sorry,
was a
that was the end of my story.
okay. I was gonna say, I was like, that is really a mic drop, computer drop. I thought it
Yeah.
was just a cup of coffee or something, but no. I did Toastmasters this morning.
Oh, cool.
I did my icebreaker speech, which is like supposed to be your first speech, and I didn't. I guess I've been preparing all my life, but I didn't prepare for that speech. I started last night at about 10:25 to look at
Mm.
my speech. But
Oh.
I managed to use a combination of everything I've been working on, of course, the My New Happy Play, and pulling what I learned from my workshopping that play last Sunday
Mm.
into a what turned out to be an 8-minute speech. And I ended up using a prop to help guide me because I was running low on time. So I did a chalkboard checklist for myself. And during the speech, I was ticking off the items, the areas that I wanted to touch on. So I managed to make it work, I think, and definitely learned some things. I mean, the process of sharpening the axe. I mean, I love to talk, I love to speak in front of people, but going to Toastmasters really does make me go, okay, I'm going to sharpen this tool that I have. And so I did take away some lessons, and that's a beautiful part about being evaluated when you're speaking is they do give you feedback. And if they
Mm.
don't, they're not doing their job. So no,
Right.
it's the gold is in the feedback, and the feedback was try bringing it down, condensing down, and hitting maybe 3 main points, which of course I hit 9. So yeah, I did.
Classic. This is solid
Yeah,
feedback.
3 times 3 I did, and yes.
Yeah.
So it was cool, and I enjoyed the process. That leads me to my feedback on the play, workshopping the play. So, as you listeners know, I've been working on my first play, first draft. Written a first draft of the play. Went away, wrote the first draft. It was amazing. Just the act of being able to get through a large piece of work was cool. And now I had on Sunday night, 4 amazing people came on a Sunday night at 7 p.m. to come and help me, a person they don't know, workshop a play that they do not know and they have no idea. There's no reason besides them just being amazing people showing up and helping me is what they did. And
This is the artist's way.
this was the artist's way for sure. And I stood on stage. Going into it, I felt I knew the parts of the play that were not working for me. There were parts of the play that I just knew didn't work. And I wanted to cut them out ahead of time, but at the same time I thought I wrote them, I will let some other people in the room cut them out for me. And
Mm.
I got up on stage, I started reading the play, and 3 acts in, I stopped because I could feel at certain parts in certain scenes the audience was sleeping. No, they couldn't handle it, and I knew it. And I knew it before I even got up on stage. I knew certain parts were just too much, and too many words, too many words. And I sat at the end of the stage with them and I said, "Hey, listen, these parts don't work." They said, "Yep, we know." And I said, "This part works." "Yep, we know." And we chatted about it, and they gave me such amazing feedback about what I could do with that, how I could not how I could stop telling a lot of the story and start showing it. Of course, it's theater, right?
Oh.
And so
Oh,
there's this,
interesting. Yeah, yeah,
I'll
yeah.
give you an example of like, and this isn't necessarily in the play, but instead of talking about building the wall or the boundaries that are building up between two people, actually physically build a wall on stage. And as you're talking about one other part, you can actually be building the wall. The audience will get it. So just lots of like playful ways to show and share the story without actually having to say and say all the words. And what happened was, in retrospect, I wanted to get to a 90-minute play. So I wrote a 90-minute play. I wrote 90 minutes of talking, of me talking. Of course, there's little interludes and things going on stage and little movements on stage. But what I heard from this group of people was all the things I wanted to hear. Like, oh, could you sing that part? Oh, could you dance? Could you dance there? And I'm like, could I dance there? You know, could I sing? I will try. I'll learn. I'll go get a vocal coach. But here is the most rewarding part of it. One, I was happy to thrash the play. I was left with maybe 20% of what I've written, right? And we're not even done yet because I haven't even gone back and actually worked on it again. So I am going to have to now write the play. And it's going to be a completely different play. And they've given me the guidance on how to write the play. They said, don't write any of the stage directions. Just write the words for now. Let that happen. You know, but cut it back to the bare bones of what you want to say and say it from your own voice. Like, tell your story. So the big lesson there was, Keith, go and tell your story. We want to hear your story. They didn't want to hear the science. They didn't want to hear some other bits and pieces.
Yes, because it's your story nestled within the framework of
the book.
Yeah.
And I think what may eventuate is that the book, the narration of the book part might actually come from the author. I might ask her to say, hey, can we use snippets from your audiobook to be voice of God kind of thing coming over the speakers? And I'm listening to that while doing something on stage that the audience can watch. And then I can tell my story. So it's even just talking about it right now, I'm really starting to feel it. But what was really cool coming out of that was, one, I came out with a lot less to carry on my shoulders. Two, I was I had no regret in terms of the 90 pages, or all the pages that I'd written. I felt so good about it being a first draft. I didn't feel sad at all to leave it behind. So that was a enjoying the process moment. And we had shared the last time during that weekend where I was halfway through going, oh no, I'm not going to be able to finish this thing. I've got to just stop. But then I came back to this podcast because it's just about being here and being present and being in the moment and doing the thing. And I thought, well, I'm going to do the thing until I run out of time, and then I'll do the next thing. We'll figure it out. Instead of stopping and, giving up and moving on. No, it's the process. And the process was so enjoyable. And the whole thing, Rudo, I'm enjoying it. The whole process. Yay. I wrote the first draft, really hard to do. Got on stage, really hard to do. Not so hard, but really hard to do. Like, read that piece of work and expose myself like that. Yes. Even when I knew it wasn't right.
Especially when you're sharing like an unpolished gem. It's incredibly revealing.
Very rough. And
props.
Here's the most rewarding part, is that at the end, they gave me some really great pointers. I asked a lot of questions. I asked questions that I would just know that in a month's time I'd be sitting on going, oh, I should have asked that. So I asked as many as I could. They said, one of the guys said, he said, when you're done, when you write your play, I want you to come back, share it with us again, get us together again, but I want you to consider hiring a director for your play because I want you to make it amazing. And I thought, oh my gosh, nobody's ever I'm just a guy with the play, and he's telling me to hire a director. He's giving me a real professional recommendation going, make this play amazing, take it places, go on tour, get a director and pay that director, pay somebody that's a professional to direct and shape it into the play it needs to be. Because I'm not a director. I might have some creative ideas for sure. And I was so jazzed by that. I was like, I don't know. In the past, past Keith may not have been so jazzed about, you want me to pay somebody to do something?
Sure. Of course, that voice is very
this is
natural.
This is a shoelace activity,
This is my passion project, and now you want me to pour more money into it? What?
Yes, but I've been listening lately to lots of what is it called? law of attraction type, not like, yeah, law of attraction music, I guess I would say. Just like, not just, I've basically
Let
created a playlist of like really positive music,
oh, okay.
and some of them are like, I let the money in, I let the money flow, I sit back and watch my bank account grow. Like, I don't know, there's just these, yeah, like really, I think positive things. I think money is just energy, and it's quite good to have abundance of it, and it'll be great to call that money in and pay a director to help polish my play. So that is where I am, bringing me to this very moment, and then all the other exciting parts about life that are happening. Just
I
keeping it
love
in
that.
balance.
I love that because it's like we are not an island. When we create something, we're like this um vortex of really it's necessary to be able to pull in things, and it's necessary to be able to be fed off of so many different inputs, and you're being not only just elevated by this like professional realm, and thus you know validating yourself.
Mm.
Like there's a part of you that's like, this is the authentic capacity that you have. But then like on top of that, like I love how you're like taste testing all of these different um sources of inspiration. Like I didn't even know that um, you know, affirmation style music was like a thing. I mean, I knew that
I didn't either.
affirmations were
Yeah.
a thing, and I knew that like, you can kind of create an ecstatic state through music, but like combining the two, that's very fascinating to me.
Yeah. I saw.
I wonder if I would like that.
I don't know.
We should
I'll share some with
we
you.
should give it a go.
It was this just this like really quirky guy on TikTok called Abel Hart, and he writes this really positive music about attracting money and being beautiful, and
That's cute.
he puts it at like 77 hertz or 77 7 hertz. Like he frequencies the music to some resonances of whatever. Anyways,
Mm.
I just like decided to have a lot of fun with it and thought, what if I would just listen to that music when I got into work in the morning and just got myself like jived up on these, and then I've got another song. What is it? Like, I am woman, I am, like anything I
Oh,
want, and like that one,
oh,
like oh gosh, it's like, oh,
you
so
know
good.
what that's bringing back
What's
for
that?
me? Free to be you and me.
Um, t-
Do you
no,
remember
sing
that?
it, and then I will remember it because I'm not good with
No,
names.
no, no.
Is it? Uh,
It was a whole record
yes.
of comedians, singers, actors, like of their time in
Okay.
the 70s. And it was like, I mean, there was like a theme song and there were lots of songs to carry. Everything was storytelling.
Mm,
So, like, a lot of it was songwriting. So, I mean, there was like a theme, and you are free, used to be you and me.
cool.
But like the whole thing was like a whole movement. It's really beautiful. And it was like, songs about like girls can love hammers and boys can love dolls, and it's okay to cry and have big feelings. And it was a really beautiful piece of work and from the 70s, like epic, epic.
That's
And like
awesome.
all the best comedians of that time were in it. And I listened to that nonstop when I was a little kid. Maybe it was the 80s. It had like a very like child of psychedelia 70s vibe, but it might have been made in the 80s.
Yeah.
But there were like skits and short stories and retelling of stories, and it was
Gonna put it on my playlist.
so beautiful. And you're just reminding me that like, yeah, when the music hits and the message is good, oh, it just sticks in your heart.
Yeah. I've been listening. Yeah, the music I've been listening to, for the past year, just hasn't been resonating with me. Like it hasn't been had the words. It had some fun messages. It was some good beats and stuff, but some of the messaging, although heartfelt, was just not what I needed to hear or be listening to or have
Mm,
stuck in my head. But like
mm,
this is the rule about this particular playlist right now, is that I have to be okay with having every bit of it stuck in my head.
yes,
And then, like, yeah, the other day, one song has been dropped off because I was just like, no, you're just not making the cut, mate. And just, yeah, I had to cut it
love
off.
it.
Um,
Refine, refine, refine. That was the other thing that I was going to talk to you
yes.
about was there's different stages to the creative process. There's the creating process, and you got to just like sit back and not be in your like um judgment
Mm,
or editing mind. Like you have to fully let things flow out. Like that's what I meant by like, no, that's good that you got 90 minutes
mm,
like chopped, like you got 20% of it left. Absolutely. That is the editing process. That's not the headspace you are in when you're creating. You can't be editing and creating at the same time. It's just, you're just
mm.
being cruel to yourself. You have to just let the wild and the silky part of you go. And then the editor part of you comes in later. And so, being in the flow with just like letting it all out, but also being cognizant of like, you know what, this will be refined and, condensed down. That is the ultimate goal. And then not mourning that process because you let yourself wild
Mm.
in that first half.
I need to remind myself to do the refining a little bit more, like that part of that refining, like be okay with this, like the creative expansion, and separate the two processes for sure. I think I'll be more mindful of that. Yeah.
Yeah.
Love that.
Yeah.
Yeah. I,
A few days ago, I was going back and because I can't control when I'm inspired to write poetry.
mm-hmm.
It's a really important part of me and what I'm passionate about, but I can't force it. That's just not how that muscle works for me. It's a wild animal. It has its own agenda, and I'd love to go to a writing training boot camp at some point soon. But my point is, the other day, I just opened up my documents where I keep all of my poetry. Don't worry, it's on the cloud. And I just started refining and twiddling and was just like, okay, that's all that I needed to do. And it just felt like very natural, very comfortable. And I got to like revisit poems that I hadn't remembered writing. And I know that bit isn't done and I'm not pushing myself to complete anything on any timeline but their own. I'd love to publish a book of poetry this year. I really would.
Oh.
You heard it here first. Well, I know. If you're my friend, you probably heard it. Anyways, the point is that I was so cognizant of like, oh, I'm in my editing, my this is a different hat I've got on right now. Like I have no desire to create a new poem, but I have a strong desire to fiddle around with the ones that have been written that need some polishing. Yeah. They're like little river rocks. And like, hey, put them back in the water, let them sit, let them soak. I'll take it back out and polish it later.
We chatted when you were down in Taranaki.
Oh yeah, that's kind of half the reason why
it's like Ruta, actually, we were very in close proximity, but we
didn't record.
It's crazy.
We just hung.
We just hung out. He went to Woman. And what I was thinking was, that part of that story that I was telling you about being and understanding the creative work and the sharing the creative work, but also how to deliver that creative work. And you say poetry book, and I think first thing that comes to my mind is container, like how to pour, how to put those rocks in the bag, and how to what's the container, and defining that loosely, and then allowing yourself to just be able to gently pick up and place. And I commend you. I just want to say you live in it, because going in and just being able to, I mean, how good does that feel to be able to go in and just really tinker around with like no anxiety?
Feels good.
No anxiety, just being with poetry. Yes. Like, yeah, because that's what poetry is about. Poetry is not about like stressing about it or, wishing you could have the book so that you could be this, or, you could be a published author. No, it's about like, can I put these rocks, can I put these beautiful river stones in a basket, and can I deliver them to people so that somebody else can look at them and stroke them and enjoy them and just gain the excitement and like, of reading them. Yeah. Bringing those stories.
You're really doing something cool, nice to the visual analogy in my head. You mentioned the stones in a bag, the stones in a basket. I was like, oh wow, that's like texturally quite different. Oh, what does that mean? Ooh, like we really work through symbols so well.
Yeah. Well, I felt like it's funny because I went from a bag which was heavy canvas, and that didn't feel right, and so I was able to quickly. My mind gave me this.
Mine was velvet. I had a velvet bag.
Oh, cool.
Yeah,
awesome. And that's another part about art, right? Is that in the past I've tried to tell my story so that people could see it clear enough, like tell it vividly enough that the picture was clear. But at the end of the day, it is not my story. Once I tell it, it is your story. It is how you see it. It's through the eyes of the seer, I would say, or the reader, or the participant in the theater, what are they experiencing? It's still my story. I still get to tell my story, but I feel
Mm.
like there's an aspect of letting go and the importance of knowing. And this is what I was kind of
Yeah.
learning from this
An
workshop,
exchange.
this exchange. And at the workshop, they were saying how, like, they described one part of the play and said, don't worry, everybody's going to figure it out differently. They're all going to think about this piece of the play their
That's
own
awesome.
way. Like no
Ooh.
one will have the same idea of what's just happened, and that's okay. And I was just
Say it
like,
again. Don't worry. Everyone's going to figure it out
yeah,
differently.
they're everybody will have to go back and listen to. Everybody's going to figure it out in their own way, and
I
they're going to
love
all
that.
see it through their eyes. And yeah, just some great recommendations. And
Shit, it's so good to be in a room full of artists.
that was cool. Super cool. One of the
Those are your
those are people,
people.
and I'll tell you another person. I was talking to Tracy Abel the other day. Another Abel, Abel Hart, Abel, Tracy Abel. She's a business coach, but she's not just. I'm not going to define her as a business coach. She's just an amazing, absolute person. She's got a Pilates studio. She does amazing coaching for people and helping people set their goals and things like that. Funny story about Tracy I'll get into really quickly is that before I moved to Taranaki, I opened the laptop and I wanted to be a coach, right? So I look up all the coaches in New Plymouth that I can find, and she just happened to have really good search engine optimization on her website, and she came up number one. And I was just like, okay. So I pick up the phone and I call Tracy. Don't know her. She doesn't know me. And she says, listen, how about when you get down here, we'll have a cup of coffee together and we'll chat. Didn't know her. Now she's like very close. I've received coaching from her in the past. We had an amazing lunch together, and just happens that we were talking about life and relationships, and she was telling me a story. She said, let me tell you the line that I picked up along the way. And when someone's struggling with a difficult relationship with another person, ask them to ask themselves, what do I want this or that relationship to be right now for me? Like, what do I want this relationship to be right now for me? And what it allows to do
Mm.
is allows that person to decide, one, take control to decide of what the limits and parameters are, set boundaries, and also to
Mm.
make sure that they can keep themselves safe. Do they need
Yes.
the relationship to be about,
Do I need to fix
yeah,
this?
do I need to
What if
fix
I
this?
what if I just want breaks?
Mm. And
Oh,
what if I just need to be able to make sure that I'm sending them love? Make
mm.
sure that they know that the love is coming this direction. Maybe it doesn't need to be about having
It's
everything be
beautiful.
okay. Maybe it doesn't need to be right now about
Yeah.
lots of get-togethers. Maybe it doesn't need to be about any of that. So what does it need to be about? Need to be right now. And then last night, going to sleep, I thought, what is this? What does my relationship with this moment need to be about right now? What does my relationship with this podcast need to be right now? And then it's
Oh.
just all of a sudden there's like so much like feeling of being at home.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, Ruda, got another one. Can I share another one? Ah, it's so
Yes.
good.
Can I just say
Yes, oh
very quickly
please,
what you're
please, yes.
doing is removing the projection, the shoulds and the expectations,
Mm,
and just landing in who you are and what you want.
I love that. Is that what's happening?
Gorgeous. That's what's happening when you're saying, what does this relationship need to be right now?
Right. So I'm removing all the shoulds.
Yeah, because like that's the suffering, right? Thinking about the
Mm,
past and the future, not being in the present.
like I'm not shooting all over myself. Sorry, I had to do it. Okay.
Continue, Sabi.
No, I love that because I'm just going and going, and I love that you can just stop me and drop gold. Stop shooting on the podcast, Bruno. Okay. So
Mm.
again, driving home from a gathering, and I was thinking about the essence of being. And for a long time, I have thought about being, over the past couple of years, been really focusing on how do I get into my sense of being. Because I'm being a dad, being a husband, being a worker. How do I find the center and the calm to be Keith, self? And I had this image of myself as this being, right? Being like, when I was like meditative, by the ocean, super calm, crystal lake, right? But get
Mm.
this, Rudo. Here's the kicker. I thought to myself, what if being Keith is doing Keith right now? Like this. Like, what if, like, being able to use my vocal cords, go, like, I talk like this, and then I go like this, and I do all this crazy stuff. What if that is just that? What is that? What if that's being? And by tuning in, by getting on stage, by sharing the energy, by sharing the passion, by sharing my gold, that is when I'm really in my being.
Mm.
Like, it doesn't have to be always calm moments. Yes, meditation, so for it. Calm, so for it. I need that to allow myself to really set in and be in my center and be me. So it was just a bit of a
100%.
revelation.
I
So,
love it. I love it. Because you know what? A monastery is not where you should be. Like, there's a lot of sameness to like a Buddhist monk. Like they're all the same. That is kind of the point. They've let go of their identity. And that's great for them. And that's wonderful for them. They seem super blissed out. Love that for them. We are creatures of deep, deep highs and deep, deep lows. And no amount of like Stoicism 101s is going to really alter that for us. I think we can find our center a bit better. And I think the space between reaction, panic, like an event that happens and like the spiral that happens, and then the collection of oneself, I think the gap narrows and becomes more manageable through meditation and through self-awareness and being able to anchor oneself and manage, self-regulate. That's the word.
Yep, yep.
And yet, to your point, what is you in essence? It's this whirling dervish. It's this like kaleidoscopic highs and lows of tone and color and emotion and expression. Hell fucking yeah. That's why I love you, bruh.
What up? What up? What up?
But do you have like a
Got my
massive
way.
tool belt of self-regulation tools? Yes.
Yeah. Yeah. Habits, safeguards, self-regulation.
And that's mastery. That's like emperor and empress realm where you're like, nah, I know when to let the racehorse bolt out of the fucking gate and like come at the world with all of this energy. But I'm also like, I also know when what I really need is some deep breathing.
Yes.
And to go sit by the
Deep
ocean
breathing.
and be with myself.
Yeah, I came to that point because I was thinking at this gathering, I was like asked some questions, and my thoughts were around this old fear that I had, which is the fear that if I did nothing, I wouldn't exist. Like if I stopped doing, I wouldn't exist. So there was the
artist angst. This is the existential of an
all
artist.
right. And yeah, so there was a bit of should there, in the
sure.
back. But then I did come to the point where no, like, actually, I quite know where I need to do and what I need to do. Just again, that balance and tuning into that to be able to have those safeguards, those quiet moments, to be able to quiet down, tune in, and just be okay with the whirling dervish, I think it is. Yeah. And yeah, just enjoy. Anyways, it feels really good.
And to go for full circle of where we were at, like there's a space for creation and there's a space for editing, self-editing or self-regulating, and they're not the same lanes. You're not the same version of yourself when you're in those two different states.
No. Oh my goodness. So good, Ruda.
Did I get you? Like what you were saying about who is Keith? Was I like on the right track?
Yeah, okay. I know. I love you bringing it in. And just also identifying the two lanes. In really showing them to me. And in that, it's just one more like beautiful stepping stone in the process for me, which is just, okay, Keith, that's cool. You know that, your sense of being includes XYZ, but here's why.
Shit, that was good. Whoa.
Well, you know.
Damn.
You're a professional, Rudo.
You should write.
Yeah.
Oh, what you got there?
Oh, got some deeper questions cards.
I have missed these cards. It's been potentially a month since we have done deeper questions, and I have missed them.
Too long. Gonna grab one out here. You ready for this?
I'm so ready.
Okay. Cool. Rudo, what in your life is surprising?
Keith, is it?
What in your life is surprising you at the moment? Could be unexpected events, learnings, experiences, changes. What's surprising you?
Confession time?
Yes, please.
I have eras of very intense prophetic messagey type dreams, and then just whole swaths of time where my dreams are like, maybe I'm untangling some problems or something weird or like drama, but like there's a very distinct like part of me that knows like, oh, this is one of those strange, unexplainable type dreams.
Oh, cool.
And I had one last night, and it's just like, okay. Like, you don't choose the topic, you don't choose the people that you're in conversation with. Obviously, there are people in my life that also have like kind of like the shamanic prophetic flavor to them. And so I'm always thinking, oh, when they pop up, is that because they're doing that thing, the tentacle reach out to me? Or is that a me thing? What is, okay, whatever. I don't, but it is such a different flavor. And I like woke up this morning like, wow. Okay. I guess we needed to articulate that, you know, this person in my life is the way that they are. And maybe what I had in my dream is a signal of what's actually happening in their lives. Maybe it's, I don't know, but it was, the flavor was there. So grateful that I have like a little bit of a dream talent, and she's back.
Oh, that's exciting. That's very cool. Love the colors.
But you?
I think it leads back to what I already started sharing a little bit, surprising me at the moment, is this like this little fun playfulness that I'm having around attracting a monetary energy, and being totally really comfortable with that. Like it's definitely
It's an evolution.
A rewrite of childhood traumas around what money needs to be or trying to get it or whatever. And in retrospect, like I've been really lucky, through even during the harder times of, finances throughout my life. I'm super blessed. And now I'm thinking, oh yeah, cool, bring it in. I'm all good with that. I'm feeling very calm around the idea of creating, around being. I'm surprising myself at how good I feel about, bringing in and attracting financial energy, wealth, to my situation, allowing me to do new things. Like soon we'll be taking every Friday off, 4 days a week is the goal of a corporate job, which I really, also surprising, really loving, really enjoying my work from the, 7:30 to 5. It's been good and exciting. So yeah, enjoying that space as well. Just loving letting my brain and being supported and letting my brain whir and do its thing.
Fantastic. Because that is going to mean that we're going to open up the capacity for people to subscribe or donate to us, so that can contribute to your own wealth.
Yes, so there will be listeners. There will be a way to subscribe soon to the podcast. We'll use our Substack. That I don't know what that's going to turn into, and I've been meaning to talk to Rudo about it, because if you subscribe, there might be some like extra like behind the scenes content perhaps, which would be really really rough, because again. That I was thinking that for me, Rudo, was like, what could I share behind the scenes? Some really rough content, basically, of a video camera in hand. I don't know.
Or a session with you. Who
Yeah,
knows?
who knows? Yeah, there's opportunity there. So
Yeah.
stay tuned, everyone. Stay tuned.
A love letter. Who knows?
Ooh.
It could just literally be maybe you feel inspired to give us money.
Oh yes, that could be
You
just
don't have to necessarily give anything back for that.
yeah.
There's options.
Yes, can help us afford our laptops and everything else.
Yeah.
Everything
Yeah.
else those Fridays to be with you. I've got another one here, Rudo. You ready
Mhm.
for that? Ooh-ka-dookie.
Another card.
Yes, another card before we wrap up here. Can you tell me about someone who's made a difference in your life, big or small? Could be someone who's inspired you, influenced you, or supported you.
I have been talking about this fellow for a while. I am in the middle of oh God, wow, loss of words. The fellow that I report to in my day job has turned into one of my more constant, impactful, overflowingly loving mentors I've ever had. I've had some very powerful mentors in my life,
Wow.
but I mean, I consider myself being mentored by him, but I've been kind of under his leadership for 2 years. So that's a pretty long mentorship arc,
Yeah.
because our working relationship isn't a traditional, like, he's not across a huge amount of what I do. I have a huge, huge amount of autonomy in my work. He really performs more as a, guiding, keeping me looped into larger machinations and system change that I might not be privy to. And because he's coming in from a medical world in the public health system as well, he just creates the why and zones in on who I am and what's so great about me. And lately he's been like really pushing up the dial with like public praise in front of like people at like open meetings. Like, can I just take a minute to like, I've heard some amazing things about what Ruta has been up to, and I just really want to publicly praise her for a minute. Thank you very much. And like, he's very specific. It's not just like oh, I'm so proud of my team. No, it's specific. Like, you have been doing this thing. It has been landing well. Here are things that I believe are in your stratosphere. Do you have faith in them? Because I'm giving you an assignment to flex that muscle. So I think, yeah, shout out to Dr. Stephen Child and his ability to, he's not shaping me, but he is by his interaction with me. But more than anything, he's been championing me. He's like the wind beneath my wings in terms of like both momentum, advice. He's like all the things. He's incredibly inspiring. He's incredibly supportive. He sees me and we play off each other, and I feel so safe to challenge him. And I'll challenge him on like medical related things. And I'm like, no. It matters whether she gets radiation first or chemo first. Like, no. This process. And he's like, okay, if you think so, but like try to think higher level. And I'm like, oh my God, I'm having an argument about a medical related treatment plan with somebody with 50, 40 years of, and he's just like, no, this is a debate. I want you to, this is interesting. Keep going. And I'm like, oh, cool. All right, here we go. And I'm hella confident in what I know. And he's like, do you know you're a subject matter expert in this area? It's okay for you to flex now. My words, his vibe. So that's hugely impactful. You would not assume that a very type A, black and white, evidence-based person would be so perfect with somebody who is by nature in liminal spaces, gray spaces, doesn't like clearly defined messages, because there is no one truth. There's lots of truths. And we work so well together. But he got me right from the day dot. He was like, what does Rudo need? And I was like, well, I need positive affirmation. I need to know when I'm on track. I need to know right away if I'm off track. But like, praise first. Like I need praise.
Mm.
I'm not into this like Kiwi, like no tall poppy thing. And I'm like, no. Like I'm a show pony, but I'm a team player.
Mm.
But to get me to know that I'm on the right track, I need to know. And man, he has never, not once, deviated from that path. He's so loving. And people are like,
Amazing.
you've become the translator of Steven to the rest of the organization as well. I'm like, no, this is what this means, you know? So we're good for each other as well.
That's magic.
Yeah.
Yeah. It sounds like
Yeah.
Steven is just the epitome of leading and leadership and guidance. It's just bringing his wholeness to the work that he does with you.
Yes, I will caveat that statement because I fully agree with you, but I will caveat because there are people that would say like, oh, well, he's been like really tough on me, or like he really dropped the ball for me. And he'd be okay with me saying that. But I think the point is the job of a mentee is to work fucking hard. The mentor's job is not as important as what a mentee is going to bring. You have to grind. You have to work to earn that honor. And he sees that. I'm not taking advantage of his time ever. And if I need something from him, it's because I've earned it.
Nice.
And I think that is something that people forget. Like a leadership is not a one size fits all thing. No. You have to bring a huge amount of yourself and your sweat equity to earn that.
Absolutely. Like, thank you. Thank you for calling that out, because I think far too many people, you're right, will come to a one-on-one, come to a meeting with their leader and give them shite about, or, you know, not even give it to them. They might give it to their coworkers about them not being a great leader because they weren't led to some place, but they didn't bring their A game. They didn't come prepared. I mean, every one-on-one that I have with my boss, I am there. Like, I have my own little plan of how I run my one-on-ones, and I decided with how I run my one-on-ones, and I brought the game. And yeah, in that sense, I have really owned it. Since I put in the grit, you're right. Like that has been the game changer. Yeah, but it's having someone allow that as well is just a huge play to be able to allow to bring yourself and encouraged to do so. So I love it. Let's see here. I'm gonna have to look at the question again for myself. Oh, someone who's made a big difference, or small, big or small, life big or small. I feel like I've already mentioned a couple of them.
Tracy,
Good old Tracy. Tracy's awesome. Yeah. She just, what I loved about Tracy, she's made such a big difference, and I haven't got to hang out with her for a long time. We had way too much time between coffee chats. But again, we had this chat just recently. And Tracy, the wonderful thing about Tracy is I felt so safe because she knew me. She could just cut through my bullshit if I was giving her any bullshit. And I thought, what a cool way, you know, just a cool person to sit with and see. And I love that she gets to see me now, just in being who I am. And she knows me. And I think, you know, she feels proud. I feel proud to continue to show up as myself, not to get too down too many, you know, dark alleys. And yeah, she's given me so much around what it means to create a goal, how to give grace to yourself, how to be accountable to others. You know, it's funny. Tracy's the one who said, I went to Tracy with, I said, oh, I want to be accountable to myself. Like, I want self-accountability. Why do I need to, you know, wake up in the morning and go on Wednesday mornings to be with Brian Vickery on that first podcast that I did, right? That gave me so much accountability because I knew I was going to show up for him. And like, I know what's funny about this podcast is I know I'm going to show up for us. It's you know, you're there waiting. We're doing this together, which is definitely increases the accountability. But the gift that Tracy gave me was that she said, why is that a problem? Why is it a problem that you are great at leveraging the accountability you get from working with others and being in community and showing up for somebody? Like, why is that a problem? Why? Just use it. Go for it.
You're literally describing human condition.
Right. Exactly.
No problem.
No problems there. What may have been the problem was the societal conditioning of doing it alone. and
Individualism.
individualism and trying to get it done. And I definitely
How dare
I
you need
I
community?
know, and I drank from that. I drank from that water bowl, and and thought that that's what I had to do to be strong, to be seen, to be in community. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I mean, to be fair to yourself, there is something around self
Yeah.
prioritization when you are a giver, when you are somebody who's always thinking about
Mm.
the collective and the others, which you obviously are.
No.
So I think there's a tinge of self awareness there where you're like, can I be the best friend to Keith
Mm.
a bit more?
Yes. Okay. And to Stella. Stella and I are going out tonight for a one night camping trip, and I'm so excited.
Oh, have
Yeah.
so much fun. You're
Yeah.
such a great
Oh,
dad.
come on. It's just like I'm so excited because I've been wanting to do this with Stella for ages, and she's growing up so fast. And I'm thinking, you know
She's a
what?
cool chick,
Like
man.
every 6 months, I want to do something like this. Just one night. It doesn't
Very.
have to be, it can be just a dinner, it can be an overnight in a tent, it can be whatever. But I would love to make it every 6 months. Like, why not just do that until.
Quality, not quantity.
Yes.
Don't you worry about how many of those things you do.
Yes.
I
Yeah.
remember me and my mom went on one massive summer away trip together,
Oh, yeah.
and it is lodged as a pivotal memory for me and her.
So cool. Awesome. I'm so excited. Thank you, Rudo, for making this happen today. Thank you for.
I'm
Yes.
so cup filling.
Cup filling.
And man,
Yeah, yeah. Overflowing. Overflowing. And thank you to everyone listening. It's lovely to be here with you and share with you and just be in your presence, be in your ears. Mom, I love you.
Sames.
Pam, I love you. All of our friends, reach out, let us know if you're listening so I can call you out on the podcast. I love you very much, all of you.
Yeah, love y'all.
Love y'all.
Love you, Keith.
Love you too, Rudo. See you next time.
Bye, boo boo.
Bye bye.